Hey, good morning. Happy Saturday. Are we live? I think we're live here. I think so. Yeah, I think we are live. Welcome. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, March 4th. March 4th here in beautiful Plymouth. I'm just looking out the window here at the studio, and it is horrifically nasty out. It's one of those days that epitomizes March, cold, rainy, windy, and it's almost snowing. I would say that's more like a driven sleet or something like that. It is a nasty day. I'm very glad to be inside. Why aren't I full screen? There we go. We're going to talk about that story coming up in a second. But first, I wanted to say good morning to you. Happy Saturday edition of the John F. Gately. I don't even know what we're calling this set. We'll figure it out soon enough, So we do have some news stories today, most of which are not politics. And I want to dive into the first one since we already had it up on the screen. And that is this new filter called Bold Glamour on TikTok. Bold Glamour on TikTok, which is terrifyingly realistic. But it actually is not realistic. The problem with it is that it creates your face into something that is even more beautiful theoretically than your actual God-given face. So, and this is just driving teenage girls apparently crazy because it just feeds into this cycle that you have to be more beautiful and more beautiful and more beautiful and more, that people can't see the beauty in your face as you were born with it. And wow, I mean, the pressure on I have a teenage girl. She's 16 and almost 17. So she's right in this cohort, of competition, and she's really good about it. I would like to think. And I do think that. But this is just absolutely terrifying. Maybe not realistic, but terrifyingly, what is it about what it says about our culture? And, there's been TikTok filters now for quite some time. Remember the ones that would turn your face into a clown or whatever? No, those are all fine. Those are fine, whatever. But these ones are totally different. So check it out. If you have not seen this or you're not on TikTok or whatever, let's just watch the first minute of this video.
You can't even tell it's a filter anymore.
What do you think? Do I look better with it?
Definitely made my lips bigger.
Bold Glamour, the latest viral TikTok filter, is causing a stir. It has users divided over the way it instantly changes how they look compared to what they see in reality.
This filter should be illegal. Here's the real me.
Some are amazed.
So this is you without it, right? You look normal. Okay, and this is you with the filter.
Oh my goodness.
What do you think about how you look?
I think it's amazing. Like some famous actress.
But not everyone loves the look. Even actress Katherine Heigl saying this filter is not for me.
I don't like it so much, I have to say.
Why don't you like it?
I look a bit fake, yes.
Like,
too perfect.
What do you think? This is you without it, right?
What do you think? I think it made me look better. I tried it on myself, and of course, I can't improve upon this look right here, face for radio. So, of course, it didn't work on me. But it does feed into this horrific and terrifying, competition that girls have about how to look good. There is, literally, I think one of the most attractive things in women is when you just are yourself with no makeup. I know that sounds radical, but for men, we don't wear makeup, at least most of us don't. And when you find a woman that's attractive completely without makeup, that's real beauty. Now, we need makeup to look good. How about some little truth in advertising? I don't know. Yeah, just me. But that is a scary trend. And, if you look over here at The Verge, they're talking about the exact same thing. Why don't TikTok confirm Bold Glamour filter is AI? Well, who cares about that angle, whether it's AI or not? I mean, I guess it is AI. Who cares? But everything is AI now. So who cares? If you scroll through TikTok over the last week, you probably noticed seeing a video, something like this. Woman looks amazed as she stares into the camera. That's because the fact is that they're not touching their real face. It's the result of an unusually impressive face filter called Bold Glamour that's been sweeping the app. It's the number one. If you go on TikTok right now, at least when I logged in, it was the #1 filter available to the upper left-hand corner. It's psychological warfare and terrifying. Did we see this girl before? Let's play it anyways.
He say that I'm good enough, got him out there. Think about shit that I shouldn't know. So I tell him it's one of me. He making fun of me. His girl is
right. I mean, that is quite a difference between one and the other. Right, it is. I understand. The company ignored multiple emails from The Verge. Well, probably they don't want to, release any type of proprietary information so other platforms like Snapchat or whatever can copy it. In a February 22nd update to Effects House, its filter creation tools, TikTok announced that the effect creators would now have access to a handful of generative AI effects that change a user's facial features in real time. The new effects include an eyebrow raiser, blah, 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 lip puckering, blah, 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 blah. So in a way, this is kind of like a real-time deep fake for yourself, for the creator themselves, which is kind of weird, right, in and of itself. And soon, I'm sure that you can create, if not already, not only a deep fake of you visually, but of your voice as well, right? That's coming soon. So it's a self deep fake, if that's a thing. And I think it is scary, and I think it says a lot about where we're at so superficially when we judge others by just their looks. Like we have a huge thing in our country relative to, well, you're this color or that color, and therefore you must be this or you must be that. We've got to move away from that, and it's tremendously destructive to teenagers, especially teenage girls, relative to their looks. Now, talking about looks, we have a really bad look from one of my favorites, unfortunately, Rod Stewart. Here he is here.
I mean, if I am going to get political, I think we should send the Ukrainians some F-16s. That's up to you, Prime Minister.
Yeah, you can't sort that one out now.
I wish I could. I mean, I've been...
If we're going to get political, let's send the Ukrainians F-16s. Yeah, more bombs for everybody, right?
supporting them for years, the Ukrainians. On stage, I have the flag, and I wear a blue and yellow.
For years, he's been a Ukrainian supporter. The war has only been on for a year, Rod.
And do a song and dedicate it to them and feel very strongly about it. Because if the Ukrainians lose, it's the end of civilization as we know it.
It's the end of the world as we know. It was REM for it's the end of the... wake up, Rod. I think I've got something to say to you. Stop being such a warmonger, right? Stop being such a warmonger. And it's not the end of the world if the Ukrainians lose. It's bad, and I don't mean to... how do I want to say this? Downplay the horrific things that are happening in Ukraine. But I don't think we want to send F-16s to ramp up the violence and extend the war beyond Ukraine into Russia. And of course, if Russia gets involved, Iran's already involved with the drones. Now, I mentioned this the other day on one of the videos, and I made an analogy to what happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And so I think that is an apt analogy. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy was very concerned about what would happen in Berlin, right? If he invades Cuba, then the Russians are going to go into Berlin. Watch the Missiles of October if you don't know. So there are multiple Berlins right now involved with what's going on with Ukraine. If we trip this into a wider conflict, amongst others is that Iran, right? Israel will strike Iran. And maybe that might be justified, especially if Iran is about to deploy a nuclear weapon, which seems like a distinct possibility. The other Berlin of its day, of course, is Taiwan, right? If things go off the rail, I hear that phrase all the time now. But if things go crazy, then China might move on Taiwan. I mean that's huge. That's a huge that can't have that. And of course, the next thing could be Poland. Poland is always basically a thoroughfare to Germany. And Poland is incredibly worried. That's why they just hosted that big event with Biden. So there are a lot of Berlins in what we see as the Ukrainian conflict right now. At least Iran, Poland, and Taiwan. If it was to go louder, if it was to go wider.
Yeah, you see,
F-16s, please.
yeah, you say you don't want to get political, but everyday life is political, isn't it? When you talk about what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in the NHS. So in that respect, you know, full credit to you for using your platform and just saying what you think. You're not pulling any punches. You're not mincing your words. You're just being refreshingly honest.
Not missing any words, Rod. I don't know if I mean, we saw Brad Paisley fall into the influence net of, you know, and people are like, whoa, he's just trying to raise that. No, I mean, that's all part of hyping up the war effort, just like Brian Kilmeade does every minute of his Fox News airtime. Why isn't there anybody looking for a peaceful outcome? That's just what I'm saying here. It used to be the left, right? The left used to say, end this endless war. It used to be the left used to say that. But now, as Glenn Greenwald was talking about this on his system update the other day, effectively the neocons have moved into the Democratic Party. They might be still Republicans, like, what's his name, McCall from Texas. They might technically be Republicans in name, but effectively the pro-war party are the Democrats. And then the anti-war party is much smaller, and it's a small handful of people in the Republican Party. And that's really weird. That's really weird, because for a long time, the perception was that Republicans were pro-war and Democrats were for peace. Remember that? But now that is completely flipped, and it's the Democrats that are pro-war, along with a huge chunk of the Republican Party and the Uniparty, and the neocons are ruling the roost. And I tell you, once you get one of these things going, it's very, very hard to slow down the tractor here when you're promoting war and you have celebrities coming out. Send in the F-16s. All right, let's see what's up next here on our beautiful Saturday morning. This is so awesome. So you did see recently that AOC is now in extended trouble because of wearing her Eat the Rich dress at the Met Gala. When was that? 2 or 3 years ago, whenever that was. And apparently she had about $5,600 worth of bills, which she didn't pay until she was kind of like embarrassed into paying them. So now she's trying to change the subject, and she's trying to talk about Amazon, and she's celebrating the fact that recently Amazon has announced that they're going to slow down the construction of one of their second headquarters things in Washington, D.C. Just as a backdrop, you might remember that Amazon had this giant competition throughout the East Coast to locate a second headquarters. And instead of just locating one, they actually kind of spread it out amongst a number of different cities, including Washington, D.C., a little bit in New York, some in Boston. But here it is, AOC. When I opposed this Amazon project coming to New York because it was a scam of public funds, the whole power establishment came after us. She is the power establishment. Billboards went up in Times Square denouncing me. Powerful polls promised revenge. And people insulted my intelligence. Gee, I wonder why. In the end, you were right. No, you weren't right. What happened was that we had this massive pandemic, AOC. Yeah, you remember that? And all of you crazy nut job that are supposed to be in charge in favor of freedom locked us all up, and then found out that you changed society forever. here in Boston, only about 2/3 of your average downtown workers are back. The other third are never coming back. And I believe the statistics in New York are pretty much the same. And so what's happened is that Amazon had a big job cut recently. And because of work from home, they might not need as much office space. This is universal problem. And it's really not anything to do with the wisdom of AOC's position on this topic back, what was that, 2018, 2019, or whatever what happened to be. It's because the economy changed, mostly through things that she supported, like lockdowns, masks, right? I know I'll never get an apology, but it was worth it. We protected New Yorkers from a scam deal to drain public dollars from schools and infrastructure. Yeah. You know, let's assume the virus never happened. If the virus never happened, they would be absolutely positively building that second headquarters in Washington, D.C. I think it's in the Arlington area. And AOC would have nothing to stand on here. She cost her district lots and lots of jobs. I think that was going to go to Long Island City. And there were a number of people over there in Long Island City who, when the announcement came, they bought real estate in the adjoining area. And then when the election for AOC happened and the political team sort of switched, she cost a boatload of people a lot of money because here they were buying real estate and expecting this project. And then she basically, Amazon pulled the plug, but only because she didn't want them there anymore. So now she's trying to switch the topic from her dress scandal over to saying she was right. Okay, sure. Let's talk about tennis, something I know very little about, but I do know that, what's his name? Novak Djokovic. Is that how you say? I think I actually got that right. Novak Djokovic is one of, if not the best tennis players in the world, right? But he's not vaccinated, right? Like me, not vaccinated. And now he can't get into the country to play in the upcoming tennis tournaments. One's in Miami, and I think another one's in New York. And, I mean, you've seen this meme, or I've put it up. I'm sure everyone has, or a lot of people have, that if he just wants to come to the United States, screw the border, screw the checkpoint, just go to Eagle Pass. I went to Eagle Pass last year, some of you may know, and I went right down to the boat ramp right in Eagle Pass Sunday morning, and you can just wade right over. Novak Djokovic is plenty physically able to do that. And yeah, we could hold his tennis racket above the wave, or maybe you could just ship it over. I don't know. Or he can go to Canada and just cross over at that, is it Foxham Road, whatever it is. That's up in the Plattsburgh area, Champlain area. You know, I had thought of going up there myself. I think it would make a really good video. Biden must fix this now, according to grant the waiver and allow Novak Djokovic to compete, which I think is a quote from Senator Rick Scott and maybe also, what's his name? The other senator totally escaped me in a minute. Demands Biden intervene on behalf of unvaccinated tennis superstar Djokovic after the Department of Homeland Security denied his vaccine waiver request. So we applied for a waiver, and the Biden administration is Rubio, forgive me. The Biden administration said no. You'll remember, of course, when he went to Australia, I think last year, and got detained. It was just a complete bleep show, and it is setting up for that once again. You know, in a way, I'm not really surprised. And our last story today is about New York Times absolute insanity. So the New York Times has published a piece relative to how racist helmets are in the horse riding field. So I can't even, you're going to have to read this. Black equestrians with natural hair finding a helmet that fits can be virtually impossible. Another barrier to inclusion in a sport that remains overwhelmingly white. Helmet companies say there isn't a simple fix. Now, let's just take this young lady here. With that hairdo, finding an appropriate helmet is going to be difficult. That's just a factual fact. It's not racist. The New York Times is trying to imply that the helmet companies are racist because they won't make a helmet to fit over that. Just stop right here. It's not racist. That is a very large hairdo by any standards. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to have your hair like that, well, then that's fine. Go right ahead. But that might cause you some inconvenience in life. First off, it might take you a long time to get ready in the morning. I don't know. Obviously, I hardly have any hair. So what would I know? But the fact that I have very little hair isn't a privilege of my whiteness. It's just the fact that I don't have a lot of hair. And this young lady has a lot of hair. So finding a helmet for that is going to be difficult. It's just a size thing. It's size matters, right? So no, New York Times, it is, the helmet companies are not racist. And New York Times, you're absolutely out of your mind to run this article. I mean, who thinks, I just think of like in a newsroom, they have a big circle and they go over the story ideas and they say, oh yeah, that one's really good. Let's write about the helmets in the equestrian sports that if you have really big hair, you can't fit into. I don't know. I'm just going to go on a limb that says get a haircut if you want to wear a helmet. And sometimes I imagine helmets going to be required for some of these equestrian sporting events. Oh, Jack, that's racist. No, it's just common sense. If you're dedicated to that sport and you have to fit a helmet on, you might need to get a haircut. Just saying. That's not racist. That's just common sense. Right? My problem is that I probably can't find a helmet small enough because I don't have any hair, right? I put on a helmet and it rattles around there because I don't have 3 or 4 inches of hair. I don't have much hair at all. but that's not racist. But the New York Times is racist. All right, I'm John F. Gately from beautiful Plymouth, America's hometown in Massachusetts. Behind enemy lines. Have a great day. Bye-bye.